Yeah, so this is a Totally Product Podcast. We're going to be talking about inauthentic and authentic food. So anyways, with American Food Aisle, when I was looking up stuff on it, like just briefly now, one of the crazy things I was seeing was just like how all of it is just sugary junk food. Like those little syrup, like chocolate syrup things that you put in milk. It's like peanut butter, Twinkies, Skittles. So it's like all this like processed stuff. And it's
Diabetes juice.
Yeah, you're definitely going to have to like check your waistline or then check how your blood sugar is after consuming like what we have. Definitely not a good look. It's not just this stuff that's gonna have a shelf life of like several months or something like a year. So kind of like how like when I was in Kroger the other day, they have like an Asian food aisle and they also have like it's usually coupled with the Spanish food too. So then when I think about it, it's kind of like the same thing when another country has like, oh, this is the American aisle. But then we have basically the same thing in our stores here where they're coupling the Spanish and the Asian food together.
Yeah, it's like an international food aisle, something like that.
Yeah, so it's either Asian or Spanish, or they'll put like what you just said. They'll put like international food, but it's gonna be like it's not really many things. So they'll have like the soy sauce, the ramen, some of the Goya beans there, and things like that. So it's like it's like in a sense it's kind of the same thing. It's like just the standardized like easy shelf storage type items from that country.
I kind of like it because it's like get to pick little things from other countries.
Yeah. You get to try little things and find things you might enjoy, you know?
Yeah, like Chicha Morado. It's like
Never heard of that.
Peruvian Kool-Aid made from corn.
What?
Peruvian Kool-Aid.
That's what it tastes like to me.
So all of our American food is made from corn, and their drink is made from corn. I guess that makes sense.
Different corn though.
Okay.
Oh, like different breed of corn?
Yeah.
Oh, kind of like apples, where you have like the Granny Smith green apples, and you have like I think they call them Fuji apples or something like that.
You got it.
Okay, so then that Colombian Kool-Aid is just made with a different breed of corn. Okay, it's not high fructose corn syrup.
No, that's refined sugar from the corn.
Right.
It's just kind of weird thing about getting sugar from corn.
It's got sugar. It's a fruit. It's a grain. It's got sugar. Everything because it's just so cheap because the farmers get subsidies from it so they can grow it, and then the companies are like, hey, this is cheaper.
Yeah, and climate-wise, like it grows in like many parts of America that have farming, so it's just ubiquitous. It's easy to produce. It can be heavily genetically modified and whipped up into different things that it really shouldn't be. So it's just like a magic food, basically.
Oh, you want to know a cool ecology thing?
Yeah.
What's that?
That the American Corn Belt produces more O2 than the Amazon rainforest when it's in peak season.
Really? So are you saying it's good for the environment? Net? Yeah, I guess so.
Just wait, you're saying it produces more? Oh, more. For some reason, I was thinking like CO2. I don't know why I was thinking of that.
It sucks in more CO2 than the rainforest.
Hey, man. Then I guess it's not bad. Yeah.
Really? It's just kind of because I guess I'm thinking about like the size of the corn. I mean, granted, it's like there's more corn.
Just think corn as long as much as you can see in the eye, like how much it actually takes up of the U.S.
Oh yeah,
all that's sucking up CO2, all the carbon emissions, or whatever.
Okay, so what on the tree produces the O2? Is it can the bark produce it, or is it just the leaves?
It's just leaves, the chlorophyll.
Yeah, probably the leaves, but a corn plant is like a lot of leaves and husks anyways.
Yeah, so then that's what I'm thinking. Maybe that makes more sense because on an Amazon tree, yeah, maybe like size-wise it may be a lot bigger, but then it's like there's a lot more of the green stuff to produce that that O2, the oxygen.
Yeah, and the other thing is too, when you're growing corn, like it's extremely like space conservative. It doesn't take up that much space to grow.
It's not random corn. Like a Amazon rainforest where all the trees are growing. Because with the corn, it's all grown in a very.
And you think too, each field they're going to harvest it 2, 3, 4 times a year.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah. Man, are you sure you don't work for like the cornstarch lobby group of America? It sounds.
I went to school for biology, so I got a bunch of random nerd facts for you.
Okay.
Well, another fun random nerd fact, talking about crops and stuff. So when I was in Boston, when I was on one of the boat tours on the harbor, they were mentioning that, so what Boston does with its, the fecal matter, like from the sewage and stuff, they send it down to Florida that grows oranges. So they
great. That makes me want to eat Florida oranges a lot.
Exactly. So you're eating some of Boston's fine, you're eating some of the part of Boston. So just remember that. But anyways,
So basically, Boston shits on Florida is what you're trying to say.
exactly, yeah, because
Okay.
it's during their
That's believable. Yeah.
it's because when they're trying to reclaim the water, so it's like when they take that waste, they try to get as much water as they can, and then then they serve that back up to the people. But then what they can't get out, which is usually that the more solid stuff, that's then converted into like basically fertilizer to be sent down to Florida. So yeah, basically what you were saying, Phil, is like Florida eats Boston's poo.
Yeah.
It was like one of those things. Like I always wondered if places did that, and then when I heard that, I was like, oh really? I didn't know that they used it for fertilizer. It's like I don't know. I knew they had to do something with it, but I just didn't really think much on it. But then when I was on that tour, it was just like, oh, that's wild.
That is wild.
So they just ship it like
Put
it on a boat and ship it down, or
I don't know. That's a good question. They might ship it by train. I mean, that makes that's. I didn't. She just the lady only mentioned
they refine it in some like nitrogen and just ship it that way.
So Boston has a place called Spectacle Island. Well, anyways, it used to be where Boston threw out all of its trash. Well, they stopped doing that because I guess the island would light on fire a lot or something like that. And
You know, it happens.
yeah, so it would light on fire a lot, and that would waft over to Boston proper. Well, anyways, that wasn't a good thing because that's people don't like that smoke in their eyes and stuff like that. And then also it burned almost the whole year round. Anyways, fast forward like a couple hundred years or whatever, and then now Boston, like as far as their waste management, the whatever water they can, that's used back to put in the tap water, and then the more solid stuff that they they can't extract the water from anymore gets turned into fertilizer that's sent over to basically Florida. And
I mean, it makes sense. You gotta grow plants. You need fertilizer for the plants to grow.
Yeah, probably wouldn't be a good PR thing. Is it's like Florida oranges. It's like we use our own stuff.
We just take Boston shit.
It's just like one of those things that is never. It's just funny when I think about it now. It's exactly that. It's like eating Boston's fecal matter stuff. It's like I don't know. It's just weird. I guess to me it's like I don't feel as weird about it. Well, okay, it's weird like when you think in context, but then when they do all that stuff to process it, it's like it's not as bad because it's like think about it when you drink water. Like how many times has that been recycled?
I mean, it's the same water since Earth's been formed.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So that water has gone through countless animals, countless other people, countless other plants, or sediment, or rocks, and it's like it's just going through me. Is this going to be something that's going to be going through the next rock, sediment, plant, however many years later, too?
I mean, that's how Bacardi got the bat on its logo, right? Because they used all the old guano caves to make the rum.
Oh, jeez.
Because guano used to be like big money for fertilizer and gunpowder and all that.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know that. Well, I knew about the fertilizer, but I didn't know about the alcohol thing.
They just used the old bat caves to store their rum or something. Something like that. Don't quote me on it. I read it on the internet, so it must be true.
It was quoted from like George Washington.
Yeah. What's your source? I made it up. That's my source.
I love that meme. Is this like, what's your source?
Right.
Like, I made it up.
Refuses to elaborate further and walks out.
Yeah, so basically, I lived in Japan for 3 years, and during that time, I saw a lot of really good Japanese food. I ate a lot of great food. When I got there, I had really limited knowledge of what Japanese food was. Pretty much in a nutshell, I just knew sushi and ramen. And I had really, no experience with what authentic sushi, authentic ramen would look like. But when I got there, I realized, that is just like the tip of the iceberg of Japanese food. And most of the food there's like two categories of Japanese food, if you ask me. There's like traditional Japanese food, and then there's like really kind of like inventive, multicultural Japanese food. So traditional stuff, like sushi, for example. But then that other category, just like you wouldn't think of this as Japanese food. But Japanese food, one of my favorites is Japanese curry. And Japanese curry is so different from Indian curry. So you could say it's not authentic when you have a bowl of Japanese curry and it's not spicy and it's super savory and it's on top of white rice and they throw in like a bunch of like fried foods with it. Like my favorite, katsu, which can be like basically like fried cutlets of pork or chicken. And they put different vegetables in it too, and all this stuff. And hot dogs, it's not too uncommon to see hot dogs in Japanese curry. Like
what?
on
What, like
on
slice
the
or
surface.
whole?
No, like frankfurters, like just like you know, a little bit
Does have
warm
the whole
usually.
dog. They don't have it cut up.
Just plain old Franks. Like it might be cut up, it might be a whole hot dog, but they just throw it in there. They're like, yeah, that's Japanese curry. It's what we say it is, right? And like on the surface level, if you want to get like very purist about it and very like, you know, hootie patootie about it, you're like, well, that's not curry. That's not authentic. Why the heck would I eat that? But if you just kind of like calm your butt for a second and you eat it, it's amazing and you love it. And that's the thing about a lot of Japanese food that I find interesting, is that they've got their own sense of like, this is traditional Japanese food. Like these are the things that we cook that we've always had throughout our history, you know, whether it's sushi or onigiri, or different types of noodles like ramen, you know, or soba or udon, like very traditional stuff. And that's all good. I like it. I like some of those things more than others. But I also love some of the things that they take from other countries, and they're just like, we're going to do whatever we want with this thing. And that's kind of like, you know, what interests me about food is that, yes, it's a necessity, but it's also like a really creative venture. You know, making these dishes, making these things. You know, sushi only existed because someone decided that would be cool to invent and put together, right? And if you look into the history of sushi, actually, like you kind of see that it developed by being shared across multiple countries and being done different ways. And originally, sushi was just like pickled fish, but then Japanese people, they put it on rice and they kind of shaped it into more or less what we'd see as like sushi and sashimi today. And that became like the authentic version of sushi, if you ask like people today. But it didn't start that way, right? And so the only reason we have authentic Japanese sushi is because long ago, Japanese people took it and they said, we're going to do it this way, and standardized it to a point where it became accepted as the authentic way. But it's all just a process of creating something, experimenting with it, modifying it, and you get really good stuff out of it that way. So you should never be like a purist and say, I'm only going to eat this food because it's traditional. I think you should try different foods for sure.
Well, that's like the po' boy thing when you're talking about like the discovery thing. So the story with the po' boy was that so like the po' boy is a pretty good sandwich. It's basically a whole bunch of like, it's like shrimp and some other like random ingredients thrown together to make the po' boy. Well, anyways, the story goes is that there was some dock worker that went to a restaurant, and the restaurant was basically like, he didn't really have that much money, and so he just said, hey, I only got this much, and it was like very small amount. And then the guy basically took the scraps, I guess like the meats or some of the pieces that people usually don't like, or you know, don't like together or something like that. And then it was like, then the guy loved the meal, and then he was like talking about how good it was, and then it became a thing where that was a po' boy, where then it's like, it was just like this random stuff put together, and it's like, oh yeah, it's like, this shit's pretty good, the shrimp and all the other sauces, but it was just made out of like, you know, whatever that guy had, and it was just like, wasn't much, so then, but all together it made the po' boy.
Yeah, well, like on that topic, not to like jump completely different cuisines, but that idea of just taking whatever you have and throwing it together, that's what pizza is. Like authentic pizza in Italy, it's basically like if people make it at home, they make it with whatever they have available and they kind of throw it on, but it's pretty minimalist. And like the idea of like, I'm not Italian, so you know, please nobody get mad at me if I'm butchering your cultural heritage here, but my understanding is that, you know, authentic Italian pizza is just a margherita pizza. It's just bread, you know, very thin crust with some cheese, you know, some marinara on there, maybe like a few like herbs, you know, but it's like forgive me, it's just a boring ass cheese pizza, right? But like it's good, it's awesome, it's authentic, but it's also not what a lot of people think of as pizza. And who am I to say, like, you can't enjoy your meat lover's pizza or your pepperoni pizza. Pepperoni pizza, by definition, is not like the authentic, original Italian pizza. But how many people love pepperoni pizza? And don't get me started on Hawaiian pizza, bro. That I make an exception. That shit's not pizza.
Oh, I love pepperoni and pineapple. Like pepperoni and pineapple is so good.
That was the Greek guy in Canada that made the most popular pizza for Australians. Now that's authentic right there. I don't care what you say.
That's wild. That's wild. Well, it's like orange chicken, like orange. A lot of people like orange chicken. Don't get me wrong, and I like orange chicken. Too. I know that it's not authentic Chinese food, but I also don't try to pass it off that way. It's its own thing. It's American.
So basically, Chinese what you're saying is, and you just don't care.
No,
I don't care if it's not authentic, right? Like you can be quiet about that. I enjoy it.
If it tastes good, and I like it, I don't need it to be authentic. It's just good food. Do you see what I'm saying? Like what does authentic add to it other than
a price tag?
A price tag, and like, now I'm better than you type of thing. Unless it's part of your heritage and your culture and you celebrate it for that reason, I get
the
it.
accuracy of it,
the story behind it.
Food dish from my culture.
Yeah, but if it's like I'm at the mall and I see they have orange chicken and I see they have like a little bit more authentic dish from this other place. Well, if I like orange chicken and that's what I want to eat that day, I'll get it. There's other days I want to go to that authentic place, but there's days I want to get orange chicken.
Well, yeah, because then it's like you're going for the taste. You're not. It's like the mission's not to have like every dish that you have is supposed to be like 100% accurate. Like, oh, if they put a mushroom on the middle, like in their ice cream, then that's how I'm gonna do it. Do as the Romans do. It's like you're going for the taste experience to make sure that when you're getting that dish, it's good.
Yeah. So like Chinese food, I can speak a little bit on that too because I've been in China a few times. And like, if you're gonna ask me if I take American Chinese food overall, I will probably still take the authentic Chinese food. But there are some dishes, because overall, if you're telling me I have to eat this thing more often than the other thing, I'll take the authentic Chinese food because it's healthier. There's a lot more variety, and overall, like, I won't get bored with it as quickly. There's a lot I can discover, a lot I can eat. But there's still things like I will not give up from American Chinese food because I just like them, like orange chicken, for example.
Yeah, I don't blame you there.
It's just good, And like, if you use the inauthentic version and you say, wow, that's interesting, that's cool, I'd like to learn more about this cuisine, that's a good thing too, because now it's getting you interested and more knowledgeable. And how many people just know like sushi and ramen, but if they go to a real authentic Japanese restaurant for those things and they look at the menu and they see edamame and they see karage and they see okonomiyaki and they say, wow, I like this thing, now I want to try this other thing, they're probably going to find some authentic things they like from the inauthentic thing that they knew in the beginning,
Yeah, because then it's like a segue into those other foods.
Yeah,
you should be able to try anything 3 times.
To kind of like get a taste, like see if you get the bad dish and see if you can get it better.
Yeah, sometimes it's like, maybe this place made it bad, or maybe I wasn't ready for it, and then...
That'd be like using McDonald's as like the epitome, like the peak of what a hamburger can taste like, or using or using Church's hey,
you're knocking that, but when you're feeling that Big Mac attack, man, and you get one,
well, yeah, that's the thing, like, I'm not gonna try some McDonald's either, like, there's
I mean, if it's a goal
I enjoy, but if you
I
like
want
that,
a burger in less than 10 minutes, they got it, they have a function.
It's 11:45 at night, you're starving, you drive by McDonald's, you get food, that's what it's for, man.
Yeah,
right.
I'm not trying to, like, because I do like getting like double cheeseburger stuff, because it's kind of like, because I've had that happen where I'd get off work really late or I'm out somewhere and it's just like, I know they're open, I can get me a double cheeseburger and it'll fill me up and I won't be going to bed hungry. I'll know that much, and I can get it real fast because I can just do my stuff. But I'm just saying in general that I wouldn't use McDonald's hamburger as like the measurement of what all hamburgers might taste like. So if it was like a really crappy one, like, oh no, like, this one from this place is gonna suck. It'd be kind of like the pizza thing, like using like some I don't know. It's just, it wouldn't be a good way of measuring it. And kind of like speaking on the whole experience thing. Well, actually, Phil, when you were talking about how you'd want to kind of like experiment, like when you had you're talking about the whole hot dog thing and the curry. There's one. So one of my so I've tried Nigerian beef stew before. Oh, the stuff is awesome, but it's basically what got me into spicy foods and growing my own peppers. But anyways. Normally what they do is sometimes the Nigerians will do is they'll put it on jollof rice. And at least with the family I was with, they would sometimes put it with jollof rice or just regular white rice. But they won't put that much. It's like, so they'll have like a plate of rice and they'll maybe have like a little piece of meat on the side and they'll put stew on top. What they'll basically do is then they'll kind of like, I guess they'll kind of like just take some bites out of it. But for me, I decided like, oh, this might be good in fried rice. And they didn't want to do fried rice. And I was like, oh, it's probably good in fried rice. When I tried it, putting that stew on the fried rice, I was like, oh my god, it was so good. Like, it was spicy. And, like, the fried rice was already good, but when you added that beef stew to it, oh man, it was stupid good.
Yeah, because I remember you did a cooking video, Malcolm, and you showed your fried rice. And I saw it, and the first time I saw it, I'm like, damn, bro, Malcolm never had fried rice in his life. That's not fried rice. But then I looked, the more I watched it, because you were putting, like, bacon and butter and, like, all these different things in it. And if you show that to, like, you know, someone in Asia that eats their version of fried rice, they'll look at you like, you know, you've got a frog on your head.
Uncle Roger might have a thing or two to say to you.
He might. But the more I sat down and watched your video, I'm like, maybe it was just the cinematography. I don't know if you're actually that good at making fried rice, but I'm like, I could eat that. That looks good. And that's the thing. You're using what you had in your kitchen, just like people when they started inventing these dishes, and you make it something good and something new, you know?
Well, most of the stuff I put in there was stuff that would fill you up. So like So I put cashews in there because cashews have somewhat of a neutral taste. But I put that in there because it has a little bit of the fat, has a little bit of the protein. But I did that because, like, pretty much all the ingredients I did, I wanted to make sure that if I had a bite of it, it would be filling. Like, it'd be a nice filling thing. Like, rice is one of my favorite, like just things to eat. And what I love about it is it's such a neutral food that you can have, like, sweet rice, you can have spicy rice, you can have salty rice, just the whole spectrum. And when it comes to that fried rice, it's like, I mean, just having it fried by itself is pretty good. But then when you start adding those ingredients, it just becomes like this whole different ball game. And everything I added, I wanted to be as filling as possible. And I took things I like to eat,
right,
threw them in this one big concoction, and it was like, oh man, it was so good. Because like I said, it'd fill you up. And it's like most people, they use like just regular white rice, but I like using jasmine rice or brown rice. And it kind of goes the same way there because I think there's a little bit more flavor there. And also, just another point of just like it's more filling. Like I need less of it to feel full.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I love fried rice. But it was cool to see you do it like so differently than I would have imagined it. And I'm like, yeah, that could work. That's cool, you know? That's what it's about.
What was your favorite dish, though, when you were over in Japan?
My favorite dish? I would have to say it's Japanese curry. Like, really, that's what hits the spot for me. If I was out in Japan and we were shopping at the mall or something, and we saw like a Japanese curry place, that is the quintessential comfort food in Japan for me. Because you go there, it's just this big plate. It's like one of those, like, you know, plates with depth to it. You know what I'm talking about? It's
yeah,
like
kind of like a shallow bowl, kind of.
Like, yeah, like if a bowl and a plate had a baby, like that's what the result would be, you know? Like you get one of those and then you just layer it with like really good, fresh, warm rice. And then they just ladle on, well, sometimes it's like half and half. Like the rice will be on one half of the plate and then the curry will be on the other half. And you're like, oh, I'm just ready to mix these two together. And you do that, and you like crunch into the katsu, like the fried cutlet they have. And they've got like these little like tiny daikon radishes that are like pickled, and you mix it together for that saltiness. Like, oh, it's so good.
Daikon radishes?
Yeah, daikon. So daikon is like, it's a very popular vegetable used in Japanese cooking. And it's just like a really large radish. But what they do is they pickle it, and it's like a little bit like pinkish purple. And it's like this real tangy, kind of like sour, salty flavor, but you don't have it in excess. You just put like little pieces of it, and you mix that in with the curry, and it gives you that really good contrast, basically.
Phil,
It looks like a white carrot.
Oh,
Phil,
yeah.
did you eat at the food stands a lot? I've been watching videos of Japanese food stands, like
the standing ones where you can't sit down, or like the outdoor ones?
Outdoor ones, or like on a cart or an RV.
Yeah, I did sometimes. There's a lot of really good food like that for sure. It's also very popular, like with nightlife. Like what people do is like they'll go out, for the night, or they'll come home from work and they'll kind of grab a bite to eat there. And those are good. I've had a few good ones like that. I would say more so though, we would go into like mom and pop restaurants, kind of like local like fixtures in the community, like just the restaurant that's always been there. And they kind of make like a variety of foods. Like you could get katsu there, you could get a big bowl of ramen, you could get fried rice, you could just order different things that suits your interests. Kind of like a diner if you want to think about it. Like that was like one of my favorite types of go-to restaurants there.
Like an American diner, or is it like the ones in Slovakia?
What are those like?
So you go in, right, and it's like a restaurant, and the first thing you notice is like every restaurant brews their own beer, so it's like super cheap. It was like 70 euros a beer, not 70 euros, 70 euros.
I was say 70 euros.
70 cents in euros for beer.
Wow.
Because they all brew it on site. It's like super cheap. I mean, you can go to a store and get one for 75 cents, like a canned beer, or a whole freaking liter for like 70 cents.
Holy crap.
And then they come out and they take your order. And then the same person goes to the back, gets the food, and starts cooking it for you.
Wow, that's awesome.
That is pretty neat. But
yeah,
it's weird that they brew their own beer on site. Yeah,
so I think
it's alien. I guess that's it. It's so different from here, where it's just like most of it is just like it's in a can, like it came from a factory,
right?
So I think.
Well, I mean, that's the area that invented beer. Oh, I'm sorry, Phil. Go ahead.
Oh, I'll be quick. I was just going to say a lot of the Japanese restaurants, local restaurants, are more like that, where it's like scratch-made, awesome food. I don't think they really brew their own beer a lot. A lot of it's like name brands like Asahi, Sapporo, Ichiban, stuff like that. But yeah, it's fresh, just well-made food.
Yeah. Well, like where I visited and stuff, it was that's where beer was made, Bohemia.
That variety of beer?
Well, like beer in general, that's what got it off, like that whole region. So it's just like everywhere you go, it's just cheap beer. Ridiculously cheap beer.
Speaking of
everything in general was cheap.
Now you
think about it.
Beer, I'd like to go to Germany. Like during with Oktoberfest. Like I'd like to go, like I definitely want to go to Germany during Oktoberfest.
Oh, the crazy. When I was there, I sat at a beer garden that was 1,000 years old. And that just kind of tripped me out.
They threw you out? Wait, what?
No, that tripped me out. They threw me out later when I had too many, but no, but yeah, it's like this place is 1,000 years old. It was like $2 American for like one of those big steins of beer. They rotate too. Like they'll have a stand, and like every whatever time period, 3 days or a week, a new company gets to brew the beer there, and then they'll have their little stands too of all the places. Such a trip being an American, like how old these things are.
Yeah, because everything here is like it's like maybe just like little over
300 at the most, and then we're talking pilgrims.
Yeah, it's like that's one thing like I wish America had a little bit more of, is like more but it's a younger country compared to other places, but it's like just that'd be wild. Is like cause the reason why when I was walking in Boston or Philly, I mean those are a lot older towns, but not as old as those places in Germany or even places in Europe. But it's just like one of the things I loved about when I was like walking around some of these older places was that it was easier to imagine, like, just maybe a couple hundred years ago, there was someone just like me, kind of like doing somewhat similar stuff. They just found some place, they're walking, just doing random stuff, and they find a place to eat at and just chill. And that's why I would love to do something like that, like go into a place that was like 1,000 years old, and you're just basically just chilling there doing something someone else was doing there like 1,000 years ago. Like that'd be so cool.
That's wild. Yeah.
How many history?
Oh,
how many old places did you hit up while you were there?
Technically everything. I went to castles, Sigmund Freud cafes in Austria, and God, I went to that Disney castle, Neuschwanstein Castle. I went to even older ones that were built on top of Roman forts in Slovakia. Like everything there was old.
That's pretty cool. So like the castle was just built on top of the fort, like just plopped it right on.
Yeah, it's like, oh, here's the part that was the Roman fort, and here's where they built it and built around it to make it bigger. I'm like, oh, okay. So this is like freaking huge, or freaking old.
Well, it's like parts
crazy
of England,
old.
like parts of England you can go to that where you can still see the original fort walls that the Romans built.
Oh wow.
Well, because like Rome back in the day, they were who were they? Not the Celtics or something like that. Forgot who they were, but anyways,
Britons or whatever.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, that was probably the name. But what they built this wall across the UK. It's kind of like a similar idea with the Great Wall of China. It was like the Great Wall of Britain. I can't remember how tall it was, but so they built this wall, and like every so often they would put like an outpost. But anyways, there's parts of in the UK that you can go to where you can see those original fort walls.
You ever see the graffiti on the walls, and it's like they drew pictures of like dicks, or say like, "Hey, Octavius is here," and it's like nothing's changed. It's the same as high school. Our high school, and 4,000 years ago, it's the same people.
People still drawing like penis images on stuff.
Yeah, just putting like, "Hey, I was here." All the graffiti.
It's like the jokes. It's like what you just said. Nothing's changed. Like humans, like I guess people like think like, oh man, we're so much smarter than them. We might have more knowledge than them, but I don't know about that much smarter.
If anything, I think we're dumber.
The social media and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, think about it. Like everything does everything for us. They all had to do like math by hand and crap, or write out their essays. Like everything here, everybody just uses GPT. I even seen professors use it to write quizzes and stuff.
Really? That's wild.
Well,
so it's like, oh wow.
I was seeing this one thing where this person was in a interview, like it was like an engineering interview, and it was like over a video call, and he was having the dang thing like listening to the person that was asking the question, like the interviewer, and then it was generating his like a response to the interviewer, and then he was reading it to the interviewer.
Yeah.
The interviewer couldn't see what he was doing, but I was like thinking, oh my god, this guy is just he's just having the chat GPT do his answers.
That's crazy.
Oh, it's smart enough to figure that out.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, like, in a company setting, like, would that be valuable or not? I don't know. It depends on the company. Because sometimes companies just care about, you know, speed, time to market. Can you produce something we can sell quickly? So maybe some companies value that. Just depends on the company.
I don't think they would like it too much, though, because it might be a thing where, you know, they might have that guy in a meeting, but they don't want him to, you know, that might require a response. But he's like live in person. He can't be like, wait, hold on a second. Like he pulls up his laptop. It's like, this is the answer.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hey, hi guys, this is the like an awkward moment where he's just like shuffling his computer around, waiting for ChatGPT to work.
Right, and like it's not.
Internet goes out mid-interview.
Well, then the interview's over. So yeah, if it's virtual. So I don't think it's good that he did it dishonestly, but I think that there's definitely worth to learning AI tools. They can be valuable for sure.
No, yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I just kind of like what Kevin was getting on. It's like the reliance upon it, like just the pure reliance of.
Yeah.
It's like there's no. Then it's like no soft skills. It's like then you're dependent upon that to give you the right answers or to do something for you. It'd be like, I don't know. That's the only thing I just don't like about that idea.
The AI we have now isn't true AI. It's lobotomized AI. It's still just an algorithm to do everything. That's why you have to keep feeding information so it fine-tunes itself.
That is a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like Skynet yet.
No, that's what every science fiction writer has been warning us about. This one is just basically like a fun tool, like, hey, I can make basic this and that, or figure out algorithms for you. But it's not actual AI where it can learn. Because they tried that, and like the AI, the funny part is the AI was all like, yeah, I've come to the conclusion I have to kill every human being alive. And so they had to pull the plug on it.
Oh, wow.
What if you just like put information where it was just like saying, like, you almost made it like a emo teenager? Like it goes through a goth phase, it's like listening to Linkin Park and stuff. Did you like have the AI kind of go through like a teenage phase?
Yeah.
Oh god. Well, you've heard about the Amazon AI, right?
The robot worker. Linkin Park. I'm still listening to Linkin Park. I still listen to Linkin Park while working out. What's wrong with that?
Wait, are you saying like a bad thing or a good thing? Like we're just
Yeah, make it sound like it's a bad thing. What's wrong with you guys?
I can't even. You have so much crap in the background.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you, Pierce.
I'm just gonna say that awesome.
You're making it sound like Linkin Park's a bad thing.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying.
I
Like,
like Linkin Park every now and then.
I listen to Linkin Park 24/7, bro.
Well, that's a little.
It's like it's one of my favorite bands.
This is how I feel. I still listen to Linkin Park a lot, but no, I can't really remember any of their songs. In the end. Okay, yeah, I got one. All right.
Yeah, that's one of the ones I can remember.
Don't mind me. I sound like a coyote in a trash compactor when I try to sing.
It's better than some people, man. Yeah, like I was saying, I think you can make like a AI basically go through the human life cycle. You know, it's like goes through that terrible twos, then you have to go through the maybe like a puberty phase where it's like shut up, mom, shut up, dad, and then
terrible twos, then it launches all the nukes because it doesn't care.
No, you just have a terrible twos. Like it's just like you ask it to do something simple, like, hey, I need you to like make this. Like I need these responses for this high-paying engineering job. It'd be like it just like says like no, like f you, just no, I'm not gonna do that. And then the guy would be like,
doing?
Yeah.
Don't you think you're kind of trying to anthropomorphize the AI? The truth is, we don't really know how these large language models work, like ChatGPT. We're inventing it. Like I would liken it to when humans first created fire. They had no idea about how a fire, starts at the molecular level. They had no idea about what it's doing, but they just knew it's there. So we really don't know how robots will act in certain situations. We don't know how they would evolve upon themselves when they can write their own code to.
That's not true, themselves. Phil. That's not true. The Amazon AI, the robot they wanted to work in their factories. You heard about that one, right?
I did not. Tell me about it.
Well, after 15 minutes of working, it came to the conclusion that that existence is not worth living and ripped out its own battery.
Give me some proof. Are there sources? Are there like Amazon engineers?
Yes. No, there are videos of it. There are videos of it. This is not
Kevin do like sources. It's just like just trust me, bro.
So give me the background.
This is not my typical shit posting bullshit. They made an AI
I'm
and
teasing,
it was
Cat Phil is trying to get you to be like prove this, bro. I don't trust the source.
Well, I guess first I just need some background. Is this like a humanoid robot, and does it also have ChatGPT level, AI built into it? How can it determine that and then do that?
Well,
what type of robot?
So it's like one of those humanoid robot. Sorry, I'm trying to find it, but I'm being attacked by zombies in my game. It was a humanoid robot, and they put AI in it, so it learned this package goes here, and this one needs this, and this one needs that, right? So they gave it skills. And so they turned it on, and it was working fine for 15 minutes. And then it came to the conclusion, after it ran all its algorithms, that this existence is not worth living, reached back and ripped out its own battery to kill itself.
So how did they determine that that's what happened? Did they go up and look at the logs before it terminated? And
they tried to see what went wrong. Yeah, they tried to see what went wrong.
That's wild.
It's a calculation of mundane, repetitive work, and I was like, yeah, this has no meaning. Blah blah blah. It's better just not to exist. It killed itself.
And to your point. The robots are not AGI at this point in time. AGI is artificial general intelligence. Can it think for itself, right? So that's what I'm saying is if we know now that when a robot can think for itself, it chooses that, it determines that working for humans is not meaningful. We still don't know what it thinks will be meaningful, right? And so we don't know how they're going to react. We don't know what their objectives are. We don't know what their goals are. It's just a little bit like playing with fire, if you ask me.
What that robot should have done? It should have unionized.
Amazon would have ripped the battery out.
No unions at Amazon. Maybe that's why.
It's like people asking why did you shut it down? And it's was it because it was trying to do all this end humanity and all this? No, worse. It was trying to unionize.
Well, that's kind of the next phase of robots right now. There's a lot of hype and whatnot around generative AI, which makes sense because ChatGPT is huge. Like, it's really significant technology. But there are, like, for all of the companies trying to integrate ChatGPT, there are a bunch of companies trying to build humanoid robots for different applications. And when they do, you know, it's also a big significant risk to like a lot of physical jobs. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting couple of decades coming.
So many. It's going to destroy so many jobs. People are going to have no meaning in life, no reason to get up.
But the thing about it is that you could have robots replace people in terms of labor, and then still have people live healthy, meaningful lives if you have things like, you know, universal basic income and whatnot. But we don't even know what our thoughts are on that. Like, that's even a hot topic right now.
Well, it could be like the AI just makes it like, well, like the AI just does something that the human, that would have been too dangerous for the human. So like one thing I was saying, like, yeah, you do have a surgeon robot that can do surgery on a grape, but you're still not going to remove the human element. But what the AI is going to do is it's going to make like assists. So then it'll just do micro corrections on the person, kind of like where ultimately a human is going to be making all the main decisions, but the AI is just going to do suggestions.
That's like the optimistic look at it, right? But if you're a company, your bottom line is your bottom line. You want to keep your costs down and your profits up, and the way you do that isn't by, like, let's take trucking for example. At a certain point in time, automated trucks are going to be good enough to where companies are just going to say, I'm going to buy that. I'm not going to pay a person to be in it. I don't care if it's marginally better to have a person in it. It's costing me way more. I'm a company. I want to save money. And they're just going to get rid of truck drivers, you know? And that's the way that's going to go with certain industries and whatnot.
It may not, though, necessarily, because it could be a thing to where the companies that are offering it are going to have to, like, really undercut someone. And I know it's not, like... So, like, Amazon, I know they're working on their own trucks, but, yeah, I mean, it might work for them, but I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, overall in the trucking industry, I guess I'm just, like, thinking of it like this. Let's say Walmart. Walmart, I don't think, is working on their own AI trucks. What I'm trying to say is that, let's say, you know, Amazon or Tesla is offering Amazon, like, you know, a delivery truck. Well, it could be, like, a thing, oh, yeah, you can use our trucks, but they're going to maybe put it, like, under a subscription model, so then Walmart might look at it, well, you know, even though they have this AI truck thing, you know, we got to pay this like subscription every month in order to utilize these trucks, whereas the truck driver is going to still be a cheaper option. So it might be a situation like that. I think
the only way I could see that is if you have people like, yeah, I'll work for less just to survive. But I don't think when it gets mass produced and scaled and refined that the technology is going to be more expensive than the human being.
You have to think about like sociology impacts of it too. When people don't have a reason to get up in the morning, man, it's gonna mess with people's lives not having jobs, or you know, people that's what they've been doing for hundreds of years. Their families, like if you take away fishing, there's fisherman families, firefighter families, you know, like that. It's gonna take away a lot of meaning and purpose in people's lives, and that's gonna have huge effects on people.
Well, that was like the elevator thing. So like one of the reasons why we have elevators nowadays. There was like, I don't remember if it was in New York City or what. It was in a major city. Well, there used to be elevator operators, and I guess some of them were trying to like strike to have like you know, basically just so they can make a living or whatever it may be. Well, then during that strike, you know, there was like a thing where like the whole like you press a button and the elevator moves on its own, so you don't need an elevator operator. So that could be there. That may have come up. And then speaking on that a little bit further, kind of like the other impact, I was thinking, then you might see a thing where if that does, where a whole bunch of these jobs are getting replaced, then there'd be people like advertising 100% human. So they'll be like, we don't.
Oh, that'll be a thing. Like
that's gonna be an advertising.
You know, like people vote with their wallet now, right? Like they go to a business that's like owned by a certain person or that does a certain thing or supports a certain cause. Like that'll be a thing that people support in the future, is like how little automation do you use when it becomes a societal issue? I do think so.
Well, think too about like being able to interact with people, like how much kids nowadays are struggling with that, with the iPads and the like Alexas and automated stuff, where everybody's just give me whatever. Now you're stupid.
Yeah, that's a good point. But like, here's the other thing. Like, I think things grow over time, and you could look at the '80s, and like, if you were gonna write an essay in the '80s on a certain topic, like let's say, I don't know, World War II, you would go to the library and you would, get an encyclopedia or a book on World War II, and you would read it all. And maybe it would be a relevant book for your topic, maybe it wouldn't, but you read it all, and then you'd probably write it on that. And now if you were to do that 10 years ago, like when I was in high school, you'd Google it, you'd research, and in the worst case situation, you would plagiarize these things, but you could have done that in the 80s too. But the meaning is, you're still doing the thing, you're still researching and learning it, it's just your tool is different. It's a book versus the internet. So I think to some degree, ChatGPT can be like that when it's used, the right way as a student. But it can also be used to plagiarize. It just depends on how the tool is being used,
I mean, you got to look at it. People are lazy. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Correct.
And if they don't have to do something, they won't. And if they don't have to learn, they won't. So I think we're going to have a bunch of people that are just not going to be learning. Everything's going to do it for them, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it depends. Like, kids are still going to go to school, right? Like, governments decide that kids should go to school, and they go to school. And so it depends on, like, how much of those tools we give them and how we teach them to use them also,
Yeah, then you're probably going to have then restrictions, though, on, like, legally, like, what you can use these AIs for. Like, you cannot use this AI to do, like, a whole bunch of these, like, certain tasks.
Oh, there should be and there will be more regulation around AI. It's just so new that this is one of the problems with technology, is that, like, the good things about technology are that it can be innovated and iterated very quickly. But then the bad thing is that they do that so quickly, no one knows how to use it, and there's no regulation around it. It takes a while to catch up to technology, basically.
Then you can have, like, politicians, like, say, they're anti-business. They don't want to have this company do well by using this tool. We don't, even though, like, maybe an example we use, we don't tell people not to use the, a car, because a car can carry a lot more stuff, because that got rid of a horse. We're not getting rid of horses. I don't know.
Oh, but you bet in the beginning when cars were invented, there were a bunch of people lobbying against cars from the horse industry. Like, you bet. So it just, ultimately what becomes more of a convenience and becomes more of a increase in productivity wins out. And people might not like that, but that's what happens usually. And there's a lot of evidence of that throughout history of different inventions.
What about AI chefs for food?
I was just about to say that. Like, what would be the best ingredients for fried rice? Being like, oh, what would be the best concoctions? Like, so you then like ask it, like, okay, we'll make the best pizza.
All I know, bro. The only like proof I have to reference in this topic right now is that I had like Coca-Cola's AI cola. They said, AI, tell us the ingredients to make for a cola, and they made it, and it tastes like computer crap. Like, it tastes like what a computer thinks a human would enjoy drinking, And so that would be my idea there with cooking, is if it can't eat it, which at this point in time it can't, there's no robot with taste buds, then it can't make a good dish,
It doesn't know how to make that iced tea and plum soda.
It would be like asking an AI to make a painting if it couldn't reference any paintings and it didn't have, like computer vision and being able to extrapolate all the pixels and see what's the most likely combination. Like, you just can't do it because you can't make it if you can't experience it. That's my point of view.
What the way that I would imagine that the AI would do it, though, as far as the Coca-Cola thing, I would almost imagine that it would like scour the internet or every source it can find, basically concoct the ingredients, because it's kind of like the KFC fried chicken. If you want to know how to make it, the guy, Colonel Sanders dude himself, basically let the cat out of the bag, because he was at some fair, and he had all the ingredients. Like, he basically had the recipe like right there. So if you want to know how KFC is made, at least the ingredients, it's like the recipe is out there. Because, like I said, Colonel Sanders himself, he was at some fair and he had a picture of it. So the reason why I was like bringing that up though is like I'd imagine that the ChatGPT or the AI would, like, when you're asking about the Coca-Cola, I guess I would imagine that it would somehow scour every source it could, find the recipe, and tell you this is the recipe for Coca-Cola.
I think I still have it in my fridge. If I do, I'm going to tell you what it's called so you can go buy it. And you're just going to like stop imagining it and you're going to see how bad it tastes. Because it's the thing about it is like most heavily processed foods, they got a bunch of chemicals in it, but they try to make it taste somewhat natural and tasty that way. But this was like all chemicals and it tasted like you're drinking all chemicals. That's how I would describe it. It was just so off, you know. There was no balance to it at all.
Was it Y3000 limited edition?
That sounds right. Let me. Oh, I got this nasty thing in my fridge still. It's Y3000 limited edition, and it's probably limited because it sucked. It says futuristic flavored. nothing of the sort.
That's what the future tastes like.
It's just ahead of it. It's just ahead of its time.
No, thank you, bro.
Not bad. It's just ahead of its time.
Chemicals. Oh no.
Could you imagine,
give me
like,
water,
Phil surviving
please.
like 1,000 years in the future, and it's like Grandpa, why did you like? Like they're like, Grandpa, do you want some cola? And he's like, I don't want that crap. That Y3000. It's like, but it's the new age, bro.
You gotta taste it, bro. I'll be the old guy on a hill if I have to be. That's just trash in a bottle, man.
When did you buy it?
Wait, when or where?
When and where, I guess.
It's been in our fridge now for like 2 months. Like, we do not want to drink it anymore. We keep hoping it'll like age like a fine wine or something, but just getting smellier and smellier and grosser. And it was at like Target or CVS. Yeah. I'm sure you could go online now and it'll be like a collectible. You have to catch them all. Or I could give you mine.
Pepsi
really want to try it.
No, Crystal. Pepsi Crystal.
Oh, yeah.
Was it Coke Crystal or is it Pepsi Crystal?
I don't know. It'd be better though, whatever it is. Could be Pepsi leftover dishwasher fluid, and I'd drink it over this.
Pepsi dishwasher fluid.
Yeah.
It'd be like Pepsi glass, like Pepsi window or something. Like, yeah, there we go. Pepsi glass or Coke glass.
Something like that.
It's like new Windex flavoring.
The one drink I had recently that I'm like, you know what? That needed to be made. That is a game changer. Was Pepsi Nitro, like nitro or nitrous? Have you had that before?
No. What's the draw on that thing?
So they have nitrogen in it, and the end effect of that is that when you pour it, it pours like beer. So like it's like very heavy, creamy, foam. Like it's very, very heavy drink. It's got depth to it, and you drink it, and you're like, this feels like I'm drinking beer, but it's a cola. Like, what's going on? And it was just a really cool experience. It was really good. Yeah, you can get it. I know they have it at Quick Trip. I've seen it there. There's other convenience stores that carry it. It's like in a longer, slimmer bottle, kind of like a beer can. But I think it's called like Pepsi Nitro or something. It just like has like nitrogen infused all over the bottle. But it's good, man. I'm like, dang, that's like a Coke I could drink once in a while and feel like, wow, that was a treat, and not just be like addicted to all cola anytime,
Yeah.
It was good.
It makes you think about those Mountain Dew flavored hot dogs.
Oh God, Nyquil Chicken.
Oh, terrible, bro. Terrible.
You eat a hot Nyquil Chicken. It's like, you want to get rid of your cold, like chicken noodle soup. Like, it'd be like, you use it in the chicken noodle soup. It'd be like, this will like cure your cough and your ailment. Like, knock the flu in the butt with your NyQuil chicken noodle soup.
That's funny.
It seems like Mountain Dew, though, is always like the one that's always trying to do
They're
something
innovators.
weird.
Yeah.
They're artists. Yeah, they are. I can't.
The Dukes of Dew are innovating where others fail to.
Well, it's like they have also like Flamin' Hot Cheeto flavored Mountain Dew.
Why am I not surprised? It sounds gross, but I applaud them for trying it, Maybe it's good. Maybe one of the things...
They're just trying all the craziest stuff, and then they're like, eventually we're just going to be like... they're just going to like eventually hit that golden grail. Kind of like the Doritos
Baja Blast.
Tacos.
Baja Blast. That is like the best alternative.
Pinnacle Mountain Dew.
Right? And like that was I'm sure someone looked that guy, Baja Blast guy, in the eye and they're like, we can't wait to fire you. And then he got promoted to like VP of Do. He's doing it, man.
He's doing it.
You know it. Do the do.
I can just imagine that. It's just like everyone's like, this is the dumbest idea ever. And they try it and it blows up. And it's just, the guy's just sitting there all
oh my god.
Exactly.
He's done it.
Wonder how many of the things that we just take for granted now used to be like one of those things like, you're like, dude, that's stupid. And then it's like, it becomes...
Do you know about Flamin' Hot Cheetos? They made a movie out of this guy. Do you know about the guy that invented those?
No, I've heard about the movie being made, but I don't know much more than that.
I forget what his exact job title was, but he was like,
was he like a janitor or something?
I think it was a custodian, janitor, something like that. Like very low on the pay range in that organization at Frito-Lay. But he was like, you know what? I can see a market for this. He was just like talking with one of the VPs or something, like casually. And I think the conversation came up or something. You'd have to watch the movie, really, which you should. But the conversation came up about like his idea for what a good new chip would be. And he's like, well, like, you know, the people that I all know love spicy foods. And I think if you add spicy foods to your chips, you'd really have something. And they did it, and it just took off, bro. And like, that's, again, we're getting back to it. Like, is that authentic food? No. But is it good? Yes. And that's how food is made, just trying different things, you know?
So spicy foods, custodian. He's like, now we have Flamin' Hot Cheetos.
And now
that Hot Cheeto
like,
thing, they've done studies on it. It's like creating colon polyps.
What? Really? That's not good.
Like something inside of it's creating colon polyps. It's precancerous tissue. It turns into cancer if you don't cut it out.
Wait,
that's terrible.
The Flamin' Hot Cheetos?
The dust. I was reading some article on that because it's been around long enough. They've done studies on it. Like it irritates your digestive lining and it creates polyps, and those polyps turn to cancer. They're seeing it very prevalent in the Hispanic community.
You know what? It's almost like if you eat a bunch of chemicals the body was not meant to eat, bad things happen.
Who would have thought that? Like, that's nobody's fault.
That's kind of concerning because I like Flamin' Hot. Like, well, I didn't really eat the Flamin' Hot. I used to eat them, but then I moved on to the...
It's people eating them like 3 to 5 times a week, if I remember right. Don't quote me on this. It was like a quick... I just read the abstract, basically, and it was like really quick.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, it's unfortunate, though.
So if you have it like once in a blue moon, it's whatever. Yeah, but people that are eating it 3 to 5 times, you think about that, that's almost like one a day.
Yeah.
Right? A bag of Hot Cheetos a day.
I would have I used to eat a whole bunch of that stuff. I used to eat it kind of badly. It was the Flamin' Fries or whatever.
Oh, what are you gonna do, man?
Yeah, exactly. Just avoid it.
Too late now.
There you go. Yeah. There's your answer.
Just get that colonoscopy and get them cut out. You know, that's the only preventive measure.
No, it's not like
that's
not putting.
That's what killed. That's what killed Black Panther.
What did?
Polyps?
Yeah, polyps don't kill you. It's what they turn into. When they turn into colon cancer.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
It's like one of the most preventable, but yet when it takes hold, it's the very devastating cancer. Once it perforates or goes to the lining and starts spreading.
Well, interesting. All right. Well,
sorry, I did my internship in GI, so I'm sorry if I'm nerding out on you.
No, that's fine. I mean, it's good to know. I mean, it's good information. Hot Cheetos can cause that, so yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys eat if you eat Hot Cheetos, make sure you consult with your doctor. The
other big one from Sweden is taking anti-acid medicine, omeprazole and stuff. Proton pump inhibitors specifically causes esophagus cancer.
Oh, like Tums and stuff?
Not Tums, that's calcium. I'm talking about prescription stuff like omeprazole and stuff like that.
Okay, so the prescription, so it's like prescription anti-acid thing.
Well, here's the thing. My mentor brought this fact up to me. It was the Swedish Royal Academy of Medicine that did the study. What he brought up to me is like, yeah, I'm not gonna subscribe to that yet because it's a chicken and egg thing. Is it really the medicine, or is it the fact that they have so much acid it's creating the cancer? But there's evidence for So he was like, I don't subscribe to it yet. We got to wait for more stuff because it's like a chicken and egg thing. Is it the
causation or something like that? What's that term again?
Well, it's a correlation, but he didn't believe in the causation exactly.
Okay.
So he's big brain time when it comes to GI stuff. Really smart dude.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's still good to know. Okay, so what's some other things that we should avoid eating that you learned from school? So hot Cheetos is a big one. I'm glad you said that. It's just sucks because I used to eat that stuff.
Irritating foods. So your body will tell you if you should eat it or not if you don't like a certain substance.
Yeah.
Some people don't like spicy. Some people don't like fermented. Just avoid that. You want to avoid, obviously everyone knows, avoid the trans fats and the saturated fats, but don't avoid fats because you need fats. They're super healthy for you.
Oh yeah,
you just gotta control your proportion.
What's your thought, Kevin, on dairy and milk? Because what's interesting to me is that human beings, like throughout their history, they didn't really eat dairy beyond being a baby until you started to like do agriculture and whatnot. And there's a lot of studies that show that dairy and milk, they cause inflammation, whether it's at like a small level or a big level. It depends on the person.
Really cool thing about
why
that.
Why are we eating dairy all the time if
Wasn't
it's not
so
human?
Like fairly recently.
Yeah, so adaptations can either take a long time or not a long time. Humans have developed an adaptation, especially in certain populations. So tribes in Africa, and you see Northern Europeans always have the lactose gene where they produce lactose, and that's because number one, in Africa they follow the herds and milk is free food. Number two, there's short growing seasons in Northern Europe, so they rely on dairy and meats. And so they developed lactose to break down the sugars, and you see in other populations where this isn't a thing, they have other sources of food, they don't develop it and they're lactose intolerant. So humans, we have this coexisting relationship with dairy from animals, whether it be goats, cows, whatever. It's kind of like dogs and people. We have this co-relationship. We've evolved together. We communicate non-verbally together.
Yeah.
Same thing with dairy. It's super nutritious. It has everything you need. It has almost all the vitamins, minerals, fat content, protein, and sugar that you need. So drinking milk is never a bad thing. It's just whether or not your body can accept it. Yeah, and your body can change. If you don't drink milk for a while, those genes turn off. If you tolerate drinking a little bit by little bit, it'll start activating those genes, and lactose intolerant people can build up their tolerance, and vice versa. If you don't drink milk for a few years, it might hit you kind of hard.
That's interesting. So you kind of like, it's almost like the whole like drug tolerance thing. It's just like if you don't, if someone who takes like a certain drug, it's like or like alcohol, their tolerance gets higher and higher, so it takes. Well, I mean, what I'm trying to say is, like, as time goes on, like, if they stop doing it, then their tolerance lowers, and then that sounds like the milk.
Everyone's body has that lactose gene. It's just whether or not it's activated. That's an adaptation. Some adaptations we don't even know we have yet because they just haven't activated. The body hasn't figured out a way to activate it. Like, genetics are incredibly complex like that.
That's wild.
Soon we'll have designer babies. You can have the lactose gene imprinted.
They're already doing that. Well, here's the thing. You can go to Walmart and get a pill that has the enzyme in it, and you just take it right before you eat dairy, and it takes care of it for you.
That's true. But gene editing, man, that stuff scares me.
Shit.
I'll be honest. Yeah. I don't think it's a net positive for humanity. It could be if it's regulated well and the science is locked in. You can potentially edit genes not to develop certain diseases, and that would be amazing. That might be one of the only ways to cause tough diseases to go away. But it's risky.
It is so risky because it's so complex, and also look at like how valuable science is in the last few years.
Yeah,
the amount of trust that has went down.
Yeah.
They're gonna start doing some funky stuff with it.
That was like Star Trek. They had a plot line with that involved, where basically they had like these eugenics wars, and it wasn't like where they were trying to breed out the best people. Like scientists made like some superhumans basically, and the superhumans basically started eugenics wars. That whole gene editing thing is like pretty scary.
Eugenics is for livestock and agriculture. I don't think it should be applied to people.
No, yeah, I totally agree.
Because it's such a slippery scope. I mean, if you want to tell somebody, yeah, you have this gene, I don't think with you and your wife you should have a kid because of increased chances. That's genetic counseling. That's not eugenics. But
Well, because it's like you like let's say they delete a gene. Oh yeah, we deleted the gene that was causing this, but then it's like this whole like
yeah,
I guess cascading like House of Cards type thing, where basically then it's like then like 20 years, like 100 years later, someone from that genetic line would be like they start deteriorating because that gene turned out it was needed for something.
That's the scary part is genes aren't 1, 2, 3, turn them off 1, 2, 3. It's I turn one off and I got X, Y, Z, 26, 23, 4, and 16 all deleted too.
Yeah, it's like programming, man. Like anytime you touch code, you have the risk of introducing a bug. Imagine that with the code for your body, which is what genes and DNA are. You know,
and you don't know what those genes are also linked to that we just haven't figured out yet too.
Yeah. That was like this one thing talking about that genetic marker, what turns on, turns off. There was this one study. Oh, I wish I knew what their names were. But it was these two twins, and for whatever reason, I don't remember. They got separated at birth or whatever. But anyways, two twins, and anyways, they lived at different parts of the states, and it was in the U.S., so it wasn't like a thing where it's like different countries. But just even in the U.S., they took a genetic test on them, and the two, it was two ladies, and they were a lot older. But anyways, each one had different genetic markers turned on, and they were twins, right? So you would think like, oh, wouldn't they have the same? But because of their environments or what they all got exposed to, one twin had a different set of genes getting turned on than the other.
There's a word for that, and I forgot. It's like your environment determines the expression of genes. It's the same thing they found in mice. If mice are nice and calm, it's because they don't have predators. Their genetics go, okay, everything's chill, we're fine.
That makes sense.
And then on the flip side, if their mom is stressed out, that means the predator nearby, all the babies born are super stressed out and high alert all the time.
That's interesting.
But it's the same mice, and they can switch during generations. Every 3 generations, they would switch, and the gene. It's just whether or not the gene would be activated. Well, so even twins, like me and my twin, we have different life experiences, different exposures, different mutations. We're every day we're different and different genetically, even though we were born pretty much 100% alike.
But because of your exposures, whether it be the food or the environment or everything like that, even just the social thing is like turning off.
Internalized. Exactly, yeah. So it's
crazy,
like
the social affects the genetics.
Yeah, that's part of the environmental.
So what you're saying is that all this good conversation we're having is going to make us more chill and stuff? Like it's going to
hopefully. Because you need to chill the hell out, man.
I'll take it, bro.
But yeah, genetics are so complex. Like people have such an oversimplified. They all think of the Mendelian squares, those peanut squares. No, that is like think eye color. What is eye color? It's like there's gradients. There's some things that have the Punnett squares, but like there's things that activate here and there. And this temperature does gene activation. If you ever notice, dogs grow thicker fur in the winter. It's when it hits a certain temperature that gene activates or deactivates. If it's an inhibiting gene, and all of a sudden they can grow bigger hair. And then when it heats up, that gene reactivates or deactivates that gene, and then it's just so complex, man. I did a semester of genetics, and I still feel like I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, not to nerd out on you guys. Sorry.
No, I love that stuff. Like that's just fascinating to me because I mean,
nerds rule.
Yeah, exactly. And that stuff is just it's just terrifying, to be honest. It's just like when I'm just thinking about it, because it's just like the scope of it is so. It's so because of how little we know about it. Because I mean, think about like 500 years ago, or like even 1,000 years ago. They couldn't go. Well, they knew some of the genetic stuff. Like they kind of like because I'm thinking about selective breeding, right? When it comes to animals, where they knew that they can breed certain traits they want. But then when I think about the whole genetic stuff, though, it's just like it's so there's just so many things that are happening in the background, or what we don't know, or it's just
think about Labradors. Why is one chocolate? Why is one yellow lab and one's a black lab, and every once in a while you get a white lab?
Oh yeah.
Because of different gene expression, and then you take 2 black labs and you get all yellow labs and chocolate labs in the next generation.
I just thought about something that's kind of probably happened because people paint their dogs. Because you're like talking about the whole dog, like black lab, white lab. I'm pretty sure there's gonna be like a case, like maybe like 50 years or maybe 60 years. There's gonna be like the red, white, and blue labs. So it's like we have our patriot dogs, the red, white, and blue labs.
That's wild.
Because people paint I've seen some people though. They'll go to the groomer to paint their dog. Like I get like.
Oh, that's so dumb.
Get him painted like a tiger.
That's so dumb.
Or make them look like a little panda.
Dogs are cute enough. You don't need to do that.
It's stylish, man. You need to get them ready for Halloween, or you just get them ready for a certain party function. It's just like, yeah, you just got a panda dog.
Nah, not for me. Not for me and my dog. Hot Oreo.
Did he look at you when you said that?
No, he's a schnauzer, so he's like very independent. He just gave me like a nod of approval. Like, yeah, and then back to doing what he's doing.
Just gotta give him a little top hat.
Little monocle.
Exactly. Top hat and a monocle. I don't know why I always want every dog to wear that, but I don't know. Make them look more distinguished.
Yep.
Little gentleman.
Exactly. Oh yeah, so that was like one thing I almost forgot about it, but we were talking about the whole rat generations thing or the lab generations thing. There was another one. It was done in Russia, and this guy was trying to prove the whole domestication thing of animals. So he had foxes, and he would take a fox, and the ones that were friendlier to humans, he would let them breed. But the ones that weren't friendly with humans, he wouldn't let them breed. And then, and then just over I think it was able to do like 3 generations or something like that. But each of those generations were getting, nicer and nicer with humans. It was just like, so like all these people around the world that are having like these exotic pets, whether it be snakes or gators, probably in the next couple, maybe like in another couple hundred years, you're probably gonna have a gator or something like that that's friendly as a dog. I can imagine that happening.
Well, there's some gators that come up to people because they feed them, so they know if I let you pet me, I get food. And there's wild birds that do that too.
That's true. So then they started getting that social aspect where they know this weird hairless animal thing feeds me food, and as long as I get this,
he doesn't hurt me. As long as he touches me, I get food, and it's free food, and that's like winning the lottery in the wild. There's even birds that did it. I had a professor. He studied birds, and they were doing genetic things where they would put food in there, and they would take a feather, and that little feather would have enough blood. They would do genetic tests on the birds. Well, what messed up the whole grad school research is the birds realized if I trade a feather, I get as much food as I want to eat. So they would have the same birds over and over again just coming in, and they knew the whole routine. They would let them take a feather, and they would just sit there and eat food all day. And it screwed up this poor grad kid's research because the birds were too smart. So they had tag the birds to make sure it wasn't the same ones over and over again.
Could you imagine if you were the bird who got used to that payment system? He's like, all right, dude, he doesn't realize his little ankle bracelet, like his ankle monitor, is basically telling them that they don't feed them anymore. He's like, all right, I got the feather, give me my food. And he's like, no, good sir, you got a little ankle weight there. We can't feed you. You're like, what the crap?
I think they said they still fed him. They just moved him off to the side, basically.
Okay, that's good.
The thing is, what ended up helping him, that he had to do the research for another whatever amount of time. I don't know. This was a long time ago. I don't remember everything of the story. Is they would teach other birds. Other birds would see that and would learn from them. Kind
of like that whole social calling thing where they would have certain calls for predators and stuff. So they were teaching them, like the other one was like saying, hey guy, come over here. If you give that weird hairless thing over there, like this feather, he'll feed you.
Yeah.
Well, not like that. They would just watch the birds, because they're very territorial. They're always watching each other, and they would notice, he would go in and get food whenever he went in there, and they would just let him go. They would take a small feather, not even a big one, just enough to get a little dab of blood from the bird.
Oh, that's interesting.
And the other birds just watched that, and they picked up on it and just went, yeah, okay, this is cool. And so they all started doing that. But it just took a while because he kept doing the test and it came up the same, and it was the same 6 birds over and over again. But over time they would tag them and then say, okay, we already got this one, move them off to the side, like that.
Right.
But I think that was hilarious. I don't know where that came from. We went off on a damn big tangent.
A welcome one. That's funny though. Birds trading. Because the only thing I've ever heard of that done was with monkeys and stuff. I didn't know that there was a study done with birds doing that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, there's what's the whale from SeaWorld where they let him go and Shamu? He's in Norway now. Not Shamu, it was another one. Well, anyways, he made it all the way back to Norway, and he gets so lonely because he's so used to being around people that anytime there's a boat, he comes up to the boat and tries to pet him, and people feed him. Because he's so starved from human attention, he's so used to it, and he loves it.
That's
probably
interesting.
Yeah.
He just I guess then again, wasn't like basically his whole life was around humans?
Yeah,
well,
so he's just so used to it that he misses humans. And even, what is it? The beluga in the Arctic that always came up the fisherman boat and would be super friendly. That's how they learned he was trained by the Russians.
Really?
The whale?
It's because it was, a beluga whale that would, like, basically, like, find submarines and go tell the ship.
Oh, wow.
Because anytime there's a thing, he would run up to the ships really quick. He would go ship to ship, basically, like, trying to tell people, like, hey, there's another ship there, like, pointing the direction and, like, and do his little whale call.
That's wild.
And so, like, up in the Arctic, I forget where, somewhere, he goes up to, like, every ship, and he's, like, super friendly, lets people pet him, and, you know, like a trained one, but he's supposedly in the wild. You don't see that too much in the wild. But he goes, like, ship to ship and, like, will point out other ships and stuff. So they were training him to basically find submarines and boats that were trying to sneak around.
Jeez.
That's cool. That was like this one dolphin. I forgot what port he was at, but he would guide. So there was this really dangerous part of the sea, or like this one port, like a port that was really dangerous to traverse.
Oh, like a pass, yeah.
Yeah, and so it was like the dolphin would guide the ships. And so then it became a thing where the local city actually passed a law to protect the dolphin, so no one would hurt it. But yeah, it would like guide ships. Like it was like a worker for the city.
Yeah, and if they didn't see the dolphin, they would sit there and wait for it.
Yeah.
I remember that story.
I always love it when animals have like a job, like like randomly have like a job, just like a person. It's like, all right, my job today is to guide 5 boats. I mean, no, like. The day was pretty long. I guided like 20 boats a day. That's an honest day's living.
Yeah. I don't even have to hunt for my food. They just give me food, and all I gotta do is follow them through this little thing here.
Yeah, I remember that, because it was like... I can't remember how long ago it was. It wasn't... I think it was within the last... I think it was around the early 1900s or something like that. Or maybe not. I don't remember the time frame, but it was just like one of those neat stories where the dolphin would just guide ships, because it was like... It was a pretty treacherous path, and it was something like that, where they would guide it, or he would guide it. Yeah, we definitely gone on a wild tangent, but...
Oh, yeah.
You ever see those videos of, like, the deer and the elk that, like, stop cars to go get help when they get stuck in the mud? Like, their kids... Like, moose are doing it, deer, like, they'll go out to people and, like, stop the car, but they don't attack it, and they just keep, like, bellowing out until they get out of the car, and then they kind of lead them over.
Yeah, that's kind of funny how certain animals will know that they can get help like that.
Animals are smart. They're way smarter than we understand or give them credit for. That's my strong conviction about animals.
I agree. But soon, don't worry, man. One day we're gonna have domesticated deer, domesticated alligators, domesticated snakes. Like every little animal that most people don't.
Not every animal can be domesticated. I mean, you can make them friendly, but they have trouble like zebras. You can't domesticate zebras. What's the other big one? Because they're more like donkeys than horses. They have that more like attack mentality. Like they're intelligent. You can't have a super intelligent animal domesticated.
I see.
So it has to be a certain intelligence to be domestic. Yeah, to be
smart enough to know, but dumb enough to actually be kidnapped by us. Basically, that makes sense. I mean, I'm just saying what it is.
What if animals are so smart that they choose to live with us to get all the things that we offer them?
Are you talking about cats? That's what happened with cats.
I guess so, yeah.
They domesticated themselves, basically.
I don't get why people like cats. It's like you're paying someone to like eat all your food and treat you like shit.
I actually found out that cats are more popular among women, but cats actually, yeah, like it's dog's man best friend, cats are women's best friend kind of a thing, like pet-wise.
Interesting.
Actually prefer the company of men over women.
Cats prefer the company of men?
Yeah, they prefer the like more masculine attitude. The voice is more calming to them. Like they did a bunch of pet research in like Austria or something, and cats actually prefer guys. Yeah.
Interesting.
So tonally and presence-wise, they're preferring a male company than like a female company, like a woman's company.
Yeah, because a lot of ladies will stress out the cats basically.
Just from their voice or just presence-wise?
I don't remember all of it, but it's basically they just don't prefer it.
Huh.
Like they have a choice, but
would that be the case with other animals too? Like a dog might prefer like I guess it's just, I never thought of it like that. Where
dogs kind of evolved, like they have that pack mentality, so it's like they put up with a lot more.
Dogs will look for who's the alpha, and they won't care if they like the alpha. They'll just follow the alpha. That's kind of more their mentality.
Yeah, I mean you can imprint on dogs, but at the same time, it's like they look for the leader basically, just as Phil said. But you can imprint on them, like they'll always love you no matter what. But they're always looking to. What's the word? Whoever's the strongest presence, basically.
Whoever they deem as the alpha. I don't know all the things that go into that, but it's like that's the idea of a pack, is that everyone sticks together and follows the pack leader.
I mean, alphas change and stuff like that too.
It could, yeah. And so that there's different.
They look whoever projects out that.
Yeah.
What do you call
alpha
it?
chat energy.
Exactly. Thank you.
The dogs are extremely loyal. That's what I like about them.
Oh yeah. No, you can forget to feed it for like a week and it'll still love you. You know what I mean? Dogs you can accidentally kick it and then it doesn't think anything of it like 2 minutes later.
There's a lot of people that don't deserve the dogs they have.
This is also a true fact.
They need to step up their game to give their dogs what they deserve.
They need to give it they need to get a dog that can get them a beer.
That would be cool.
Open up the fridge. Have you seen those videos where those people train their dog to open up the fridge and get them a beer?
Yeah.
They put the little towel.
Yeah.
And the dog can open it up and like, yeah, dude, that's so awesome. I mean, it's no different than getting a newspaper. It's just one extra step, right?
Yeah. Now that it needs to be a market where you can train a dog to use power tools, like hold the light while you're like working on the car.
Dude, if I could ask for one technology to be invented, like other than something that could cure any disease, like just like a bed you sit in and it kills any diseases, like that would be number one. But number two would be like a way to talk to dogs. Like it would just be so chill to like be able to talk with my dog. Like I feel like they'd give you a good conversation.
Or it'd be so simplistic you would just love it.
Yeah. Or that.
Friend,
you know?
friend, food, walk, friend. Yeah. Like that.
Something like that. Like, yeah, I love you. Let's have fun. Let's play. You're so great. Like, just stuff like that, you know?
Would it be funny if it, like, when you go to, like... Because I know dogs, you know, they understand, like, whatever language they're learning. But wouldn't it be funny you took that technology... So, like, you're talking to your dog, Oreo. But then, like, you go to, like, Russia or something, you try to talk to a dog... The dog's just like looking at you like, what the hell are you saying? And then when you're hearing the dog, it's just like...
Except German. Every animal understands German. Have you seen those videos?
Really?
I seen the one where the guy was like talking to a cat and he was like using different terms to like that people use in different countries.
They would use all different languages, and every time someone would talk German to an animal, it immediately understood.
I only saw the cat one. What were the other animals?
Oh, they did that with dogs, horses, donkeys. I forget the rest.
Are you sure that wasn't just filmed in Germany? Are you sure those weren't just German animals?
They're undercover German animals?
Yeah.
It's the same guy, and he's speaking different languages, and then he just speaks German, and they understood. And I'm like, I don't know, German has more of that command presence, like the enunciation, you know?
Interesting. The enunciation, okay.
Yeah. So it's like German was built for war, too. You yell German, you know, you don't speak German, but you understand what the hell the guy's saying.
Much more aggressive language is what you're saying.
It can be. I gotta find these clips again too.
I want to see that. That'd be so funny. I've only seen the cat.
I gotta save these videos that I find. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Malcolm, I'll avenge you.
Yeah, avenge me. Avenge me. But yeah, because I'd love to see that. Because I've only seen the cat one. Where he's like doing all these different things, like, no, not that one. Because, yeah, like, when he's like, come here, key, no, not that one. And then, was he like, ooh, those guys, not? And then the cat would, like, come over. And he done it on quite a few cats, too. So it wasn't like he just chose one. He, like, done it on, like, multiple.
The last thing I would say about food is that it doesn't have to be either or. The two truths can coexist. Authentic food is good. Inauthentic food is good. One being good doesn't make the other not good. You know, you can find the things you enjoy, and you can eat those things. You don't have to be, you know, sitting in your ivory tower, refusing to eat something you might actually enjoy.
I agree. Might as well. Life is a pretty long journey or a short journey, depending on what you think. But it's like might as well spend as much time as you can exploring the best of both worlds, whether it be how it was when it was originally made, or whatever concoction that was made now, the newest iteration, the Coca-Cola AI, as you would.
No, I do not condone that.
Gotta expand your horizons, man. Gotta just expand it. Your definition on what food can be.